In 1993, a game came out that was so addictive, universities across America had to literally ban it from their networks within hours of launch. It crashed servers, it ruined careers, and one of its most iconic weapons was a plastic toy from Toys R Us. This is Doom, and I guarantee you don't know half of what actually went into making it. Stick around, because fact number 4 is something the developers still won't fully talk about, and fact number 7 literally shut down a university. So let's start with something wild. The name Doom, that iconic, terrifying one-word title that defined a genre, came from a Tom Cruise pool movie. I'm serious. There's a scene in the 1986 Martin Scorsese film, The Color of Money, where Tom Cruise walks into a pool hall carrying a custom cue case. Some guy asks him, "What you got in there?" And Cruise, with the most punchable smirk you've ever seen, opens the case and says one word: Doom. Then he proceeds to absolutely destroy the guy at pool. John Carmack, the legendary programmer behind the game, said in a 1999 interview, and I'm quoting him directly here, that and the resulting carnage was how I viewed us springing the game on the industry. And honestly, he wasn't wrong. Okay, this one blew my mind when I first learned it. The shotgun, the pistol, you know, the weapons you've been shooting demons with for 30+ years, those are photographs of plastic toy guns bought at Toys R Us. The chainsaw, that was a real McCulloch Eager Beaver chainsaw that designer Tom Hall brought into the office. But here's the kicker, the BFG 9000, the most iconic video game weapon of all time. The gun that basically invented the concept of the overpowered, last resort superweapon in shooters. That was digitized from a battery-powered toy called the Roar Gun, made by a company called Creatoy. Oh, and if you've ever stared at those metallic tech wall textures in the game, yeah, those are just flat photos of parts of the same toy gun. The entire aesthetic of hell was built out of children's toys. Let that sink in. This is where it gets genuinely disgusting. In a great way. The ID software team was tiny. Like, we're talking a handful of people. So when they needed textures, they got creative. One of the wall textures you see throughout the hellish levels, that nasty, fleshy, bloody-looking surface, that's a real photograph of a wound on artist Kevin Cloud's knee. The guy literally injured himself, took a picture of the scab, and said, "Yeah, throw that on the walls of hell." And another texture, a scaly, reptilian-looking one, is a scanned photo of artist Adrian Carmack's snakeskin cowboy boots. So, every time you're running through hell in Doom, you're stepping on a developer's scab and cowboy boots. And nobody told you until today. Okay, remember how I said fact number 4 would surprise you? So, Doom has this giant, fat, terrifying demon called the Mancubus. It makes this deep, guttural, menacing battle cry when it spots you. For years, John Romero described it as the demon shouting, "Mena bla nabla," like he made it into a running joke. For decades, fans tried to figure out where that sound actually came from. Audio detectives spent years digging through sound libraries. Turns out, it's a pig, squealing, slowed down to 75% speed. Specifically, it's from a stock sound library called Sound Ideas Series 6000. Track name: Pig Squealing Animal. That nightmare creature that's been terrifying players since 1993, it's just a slowed-down farm animal, and honestly, that's the most Doom thing ever. Alright, let's talk about the music, because this one's spicy. The Doom soundtrack, composed by Bobby Prince, is legendary. Those pounding, aggressive, metal-infused MIDI tracks defined an entire era of gaming audio. Here's the behind-the-scenes part most people don't know. John Romero literally handed Bobby Prince a stack of his personal heavy metal CDs and basically said, "Make it sound like this." So Prince did, very literally. The opening track of E1M1, at Doom's Gate, that riff is almost identical to Metallica's No Remorse. Other tracks borrow heavily from Pantera, Alice in Chains, Slayer, AC/DC, and Black Sabbath. There's a famous page on the Doom community site Doomworld that's literally just titled, "Bobby Prince is a filthy thief." And when ID Software released some unused music files years later, the metadata comments in those files actually named the songs that inspired them. So the most iconic video game soundtrack of the 90s is basically a greatest hits metal cover album, and it absolutely rips. This one is peak video game lore. In Doom 2's final level, the Icon of Sin, you fight this massive demonic face embedded in a wall. You have to shoot rockets into a hole in its forehead to kill it. But here's what you don't see. Behind that giant demon face, hidden in a room you can't normally access, there's a severed human head impaled on a spike. And it's John Romero's head. The artists, Adrian Carmack and Kevin Cloud, snuck it in as a prank, using a photo from a Business Week photo shoot Romero had done. The actual hitbox for the final boss is literally his face. When Romero discovered the prank while working on the sound design, he didn't get mad. He got even. He recorded himself saying, "To win the game, you must kill me, John Romero," applied a bunch of distortion effects, and then reversed the audio. That's the creepy, demonic chant you hear when the final boss appears. So when you play backwards through a Doom 2 boss fight, John Romero's disembodied voice is telling you to kill him, which is one of the most metal things ever committed to a video game. Remember when I teased that Doom literally shut down a university? Here's what happened. December 10th, 1993. The team had been awake for 30 straight hours testing. At midnight, they tried to upload the shareware version to an FTP server at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. They couldn't connect. Why? Because so many people were already logged into the server, waiting for the release that it was completely saturated. The network administrator had to manually increase the server's connection limit, then kick every single user off just to make room for the upload. 30 minutes later, when the upload finished, 10,000 people tried to download the game simultaneously. The university's network crashed. Within hours of launch, universities across America started banning Doom multiplayer on their networks because it was destroying their bandwidth. Carnegie Mellon, Intel, companies and schools everywhere were issuing memos. And ID Software had actually predicted this. In a press release from January 1st, 1993, a full year before launch, they wrote that they expected Doom to be, quote, "the #1 cause of decreased productivity in businesses around the world." They called their shot, and they nailed it. Last one, and this one's beautiful. Doom basically invented competitive online multiplayer shooting as we know it. Every time you've played Call of Duty, Halo, Counter-Strike, Fortnite, you're playing a descendant of Doom's deathmatch mode. But here's the thing, the ID Software team didn't come up with deathmatch by studying other shooters. They came up with it by playing Japanese fighting games. During development, the team took breaks by playing Street Fighter II, Fatal Fury, and Art of Fighting obsessively. They'd trash-talk each other, smash furniture, develop elaborate rules. Romero later said, and this is a direct quote, "You could say that Japanese fighting games fueled the creative impulse to create deathmatch in our shooters." Kevin Cloud, one of the artists, even coined the term fragging to describe killing another player. So, the entire first-person shooter multiplayer scene, billions of dollars of games, esports leagues, professional careers, all of it traces back to 5 guys in Texas getting way too hyped playing Street Fighter. Doom wasn't just a game. It was 5 sleep-deprived developers, a stack of metal CDs, some Toys R Us receipts, a Wounded Knee, and a Tom Cruise pool movie. And somehow, that combination changed gaming forever. What's the craziest fact here for you? Drop it in the comments. If you learned something new today, hit that like button. It genuinely helps the channel. And subscribe if you want more deep dives into the weird, hidden history of the games we grew up with.